Hello everyone, I'm Paul McGuire Grimes. J. Robert Oppenheimer is arguably one of the greatest inventors and scientists of the 20th century, and yet most people probably wouldn't be able to tell you anything about him. Christopher Nolan's new film Oppenheimer looks to change all that, and it demands to be seen on the big screen. It's now in theaters, and I want to talk about it. This is Paul's trip to the movies. Cillian Murphy has collaborated with Christopher Nolan many times before in supporting roles, most notably as a Scarecrow in the Dark Knight trilogy. Here he's in almost every scene as J. Robert Oppenheimer. He was referred to as the American Prometheus by Niels Bohr, and Time magazine called him the father of the atomic bomb. He was a leading professor in the field of quantum physics, and as World War II raged on, he's approached by General Leslie Gross, who's played by Matt Damon, to lead up the Manhattan Project. The US government wanted to create a bomb before Germany would. Now, Oppenheimer took his work very seriously and devoted his life to it, despite the political pressures of the time and the toll that it took on his children and his wife Kitty, who's played by Emily Blunt. The Manhattan Project set up ground in Los Alamos, New Mexico, where a whole community was built so that the scientists and their families could be together as they sought to change history forever. The film also stars Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh, Josh Hartnett, Kenneth Branagh, and Benny Safdie, amongst a really large ensemble in this film. Now, Christopher Nolan is a filmmaker who never plays it safe, taking really rich, complex concepts and then puts his own stamp to it with how the story is executed. You know, we saw that with Dunkirk's use of time structures and in other films like Interstellar and Inception. The film is based on the book American Prometheus by Kai Bird and Martin Sherwood, but Nolan doesn't take that standard biopic approach either. He tells this story in non-linear fashion, cutting back and forth between the launch of the atomic bomb and then the fallout afterwards. Robert Downey Jr. is given his own narrative as Louis Strauss, who served on the Atomic Energy Commission. Now, his fractured opinions of Oppenheimer really take center stage during his confirmation hearings. It's a really juicy role for Robert Downey Jr. to really sink his teeth into after playing Iron Man. Now, Nolan wastes no time despite a lengthy 3-hour runtime. There's an urgency that's felt from the very beginning, and it's complemented by Ludwig Göransson's pulsating score that's constantly in motion. Nolan has taken a really massively complex story in telling Oppenheimer's life and has really made the science accessible and important in terms of its history while weaving in its connections to today. Oppenheimer's work was constantly questioned given his connections to the Communist Party, and there's a question as to why socialism is feared more than fascism, and that question really just rang wholly true in today's political environment. Nolan and the rest of his creative team are firing on all cylinders to tell this story. He's repeatedly worked with cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema, and they've used large format IMAX cameras and 65mm film to tell this story in both black and white and color. They notably shot this film in a lot of close-ups, which then makes it deceptively intimate despite the magnitude and the scope of this story. These close-ups are often on Cillian Murphy, who gives one of the best, if not the best, performance of the year as J. Robert Oppenheimer. Now, within the first few minutes of the movie, Murphy displays such a rich commitment at inhabiting Oppenheimer. He makes him a man who is constantly thinking and planning and yet never revealing his full hand. And Murphy never apologizes for any of Oppenheimer's flaws, but rather demonstrates the deeply complicated person that he was. And Emily Blunt is another standout as his wife, Kitty. Christopher Nolan takes a film about science and technology and turns it into this political legal fight, making the audience really question the ethical nature of it all. There's so much to take in that it may need multiple viewings to look at it through different lenses and angles each time. I'm giving Oppenheimer 5 out of 5 ticket stubs. If you like my review today, click subscribe on my YouTube channel. I have some other movie reviews. And follow me on social media at Paul's Movie Trip. I recently got to go into the Imagine Theater's Willow Creek location. They're playing it in 70mm, so we got a chance to go into the projection booth. You can see the reels of the film going into the projector. It was a really fun experience. So, Paul's Trip to Movies is brought to you by Imagine Theaters. And like I said, if you haven't figured it out, go see Oppenheimer on the big screen. Go to the Willow Creek location, see it in 70mm. It just gives a whole different perspective of seeing this movie. Follow them on social media at ImagineMN to see all their fantastic programming coming up, their community events, and my movie series, Paul McGuire Grimes Presents, is going on. Tickets are now on sale for August's movie. Coming up August 27th is Martin Scorsese's masterpiece, Taxi Driver. Coming up in September is The Breakfast Club. In October, I'm going to be showing Zodiac. Tickets are now on sale for all three of these movies. Talkbacks to follow, and I really hope to see you there. Paul's Trip to Movies is also brought to you by Popped Corn. Maybe you want to stay inside after seeing Oppenheimer to watch a bunch of other Christopher Nolan films. Make sure to have some popcorn on hand. Whether you want to place an online order or just stop into their store, try some of their over 80 flavors. You cannot go wrong. Whether you want something salty, sweet, spicy, fruity, chocolatey, they literally have a flavor for everyone. So go stop in the store today. Tell them I sent you. I know you're going to love it. Follow them on social media as to at PopcornMN. See what they're popping. I'd love to hear from you, so tag me in your posts as well. Thank you so much for watching my review of Oppenheimer. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies.